Many fans here in this shit.
Hello and welcome, fellow disc golf enthusiasts from around the world, to MDG Media. We are excited to be bringing you the conclusion of the Nine Hill Open. This is round 3 front 9 MPO lead card coverage. In only 18 holes, we will have a new and first time PDGA Euro Tour champion crowned. This tournament is taking place in September of 2023 after some brief technical issues. We are very happy to be bringing you this exciting coverage and conclusion. We see here our first player of this lead card, Balodis, local player, coming in as your leader, has set a really solid pace and very well rounded on both the backhand and forehand. He's well positioned for a strong finish if he can keep it up. Joining him, Roland Kour. Already, we've seen a little bit of him here on MDG Media, very strong young player as well. Has a great command and a diverse shot arsenal. Joining them, coming in third place to this final round, Björn Marrandi. Another young Estonian player looking to give it his all on this final lead card, 973 rated. I think this tournament really highlighting some breakout players of the season. We see rounding out our lead card, another young Estonian man, 989 rated silver Koni, representing Team MVP. Happy to be having him here. Playing with the cameras, playing on lead card of a PDGA Euro Tour event, always an exciting occasion. You see here the scoreboard. Reiners 8 under, Roland 4 behind him at 4 under, Björn at 1 under, and Silver at +5. The top 3 have separated a little bit, but on this course, anything can happen. We kick it off here on hole 1, a 125 meter par 3. You have that initial tree to the right side playing as a Mando left, forcing players to shape through the middle here. Although it's quite a generous fairway, you see OB lining the right and the trees lining the left. It is, however, a very long uphill shot, particularly to start your round. It really needs a lot of shape and speed out of the hand to get there. And just a great starting hole, allows you to rip one, get the nerves out, have some fun.
Representing Team Innova, Team Nine Hill, your defending Nine Hill Open champion, Balodis. It's score -8.
You hear the enthusiasm from the crowd there for Reiners. So we see him getting this light flex out there, going to be fading a touch early, but you see him make it to the flat crest at the top. That is a sign of a good shot. He'll have an open but long putt.
Your Estonian junior champion, Roland Kour.
And Roland, certainly not shy with the power and arm speed as well. Likes to release those drivers strong, and you see that there, that flex getting dropped a little bit low, but a lot of speed in a straight line to the basket. He looks to be circle 2.
Latitude 64, Björn Marrandi.
Björn rocking the powerful hat, looks for the powerful flex here and looking like quite an overstable flight. Finds the fade very early, didn't get it turned over.
Representing MVP this,
although in the fairway.
Koni.
Here we see Silver. This fairway shaping most naturally for a flex makes it slightly wider and offers you that distance line, but you can see the danger of the OB right side if you don't find the late stability. Silver dancing with that, although could be on either side of that line. We'll find out shortly. We go here to Björn. Just a simple layup from that distance, finds himself with a short tester remaining, but light work from there. Roland as well. A long ways out, a little bit further than it looked initially from the angle. We see Silver here. He's taken his meter off the OB line and has a floaty little putt that will leave him just 4 or 5 remaining. Reiners with a healthy bid, just a bit short, and as a result keeps him close to the basket. These putts here are, especially on the first hole, pretty nervy sometimes. These guys might not have as much experience on cameras, on lead card of a PDGA Euro Tour event. Sometimes those things can be a factor, but well cleaned up by all of them. As we see the beautiful sunshine breaking through the tree line here of hole 2. This is a 133-meter par 4, and although that's not particularly far, it certainly plays as longer. With this steep uphill and late gap to hit, players will need to be precise on both the height and the width. As you get out into this open field, anywhere near this path that we just flew over is where a good drive will land, leaving you an upshot to this treacherous green. Basket placed on the spine with that small bush to the left side. If you find yourself on the other side of it, can certainly come into play. This hole requiring 2 very precise shots and a lot of power off this first one as well. And Reynolds has turned this over beautifully through the gap. Bombs well over that path that indicates a good shot, and he has that long eagle look. Great line there from him. Getting that late flip, throwing uphill. Roland not finding as much turn, but I think slightly more generous on space than it looked from that angle over there to the left. Should be all right to be finding an approach for himself. Björn as well, just playing that big hyzer flip, comes up beautifully right up there with Reyners. Both of them, of course, very dangerous on this green. A lot of players will not really be pushing that from any long distance. And Silver here, getting it very straight and flattened out to the right. Both of his drives on holes 1 and 2 have turned, I think, a little bit more than he's intended. We'll look to see what sort of adjustment he makes. And Roland, in fact, an incredibly compromised position, was really in the rough. Managed to get himself out and with a look if he wants it, although from that tricky side. We see Silver just looking to place his upshot to the bottom of the hill. It's really tough to stick the top, and Björn manages to sit that one down. You'll commonly see players get to the top, but if their disc stands up even for a second, it can roll down. Just a half flip for Reyners there. This is Roland's third. And there's that roll off the back side. He is once again outside the circle. And that one, he wanted to give it a bid for par. Tough to have full confidence on the height. Silver, however, does make it happen. Netting the first birdie here of this final round on our MPO lead card. These men both about to find one of their own. Very polarizing hole, number 2. You see the danger that can come with a green like that. And we move on to hole 3, another par 4, 208 meters, also uphill off the tee. You see this quite generous fairway that begins to slope softly to the left and eventually flatten out. Up near this crest, players are going to want to break through this tree line around the corner on their second throw and hopefully try and enter this very precise entrance to the green. You see this wide hyzer playing nicely into this hill for the backhand right-handed player, where they will hopefully hit this late gap in the trees, find themselves with a putt. Effectively 2 power hyzers but certainly quite a difficult hole to birdie. Great drive there from Reyners. Exactly where you want to be. And Björn right up there with him. And these are great tee shots. These guys aren't pushing anything too much up in turn or understability. Really just playing the stable hyzer, putting a lot of power in shaping that one angle placement shot. And that's a heat map there for our lead card. All of them within just a few meters from each other. We'll start with Björn now. Power hyzer. You see him getting it turned up to flat though. If you can crest, the slope will naturally drag you to the left, but unfortunately you see him grab early there and will still be left with a fairly tricky shot on that downslope looking towards the green. Roland getting a nice hyzer angle on this. If he can beat that late guardian and find the mouth. Looked good from the back angle, but from the catch we did not see it come through cleanly. Silver as well, just looking to blast that one through. And Reyners fighting just a little bit early on his hyzer, although may have some sort of compromised look. I think closest of the four after the second. And an amazing scramble shot there. The Anheuser forehand with the late pan out into the green. Really nicely done. Björn with a huge jump putt down the hill. Does find himself up there in circle one. Roland, yeah, caught the final guardian that he needed to beat. This hole really requiring you to hyzer in at the perfect time on the second. You have to push it forwards enough to get cleanly to the green, but fade soon enough that you avoid that guardian in the middle of the fairway. And you see there are no free putts here on the green of three. Björn now with a chance at a very similar putt. He saw Roland miss, and a real statement there. Björn with a great putt for his par. An unfortunate two low misses for Roland. We see Reyners approach his par putt. And Silver with an amazing upshot out of the woods, that high Annie forehand. Really shaping that to perfection. Had the touch, had the glide. Nicely done on the scramble. This course will bring it out of you. This is hole 4, an 80-meter uphill par 3. You see this traditional looking tunnel shot. I think a lot of players going to be leaning on some form of understability here, being forced to throw nose up, but also just to hit that gap with the late turn, flip it up to flat and let it ride. You see that this hard earth offering quite a lot of skip and forwards movement if you connect a bit early. It does require you to be in good control of your angles to really get it all the way. Although one of the shorter holes. And a beautiful shot. Just skimming the very edge of the tree line. He makes it through cleanly up to the green. Absolutely parked by Reyners. Björn opting for the forehand hyzer flip, but gets it turned over a bit too much. He will have slightly difficult look from the wood line on the left. Silver showing a beautiful forehand line and almost skipping it in. He'll settle for parked. Very clean there. Roland looking to get a little bit of momentum back in his round here. Also playing the hyzer flip. Great reaction for his disc there to kick back towards the basket. Very manageable putt for his birdie. Oh, Björn from way downtown with the stabber. You saw how much spin he put on that thing. And Roland, very nice bounce back after a difficult stretch on the last few holes. Very confident looking putt there. Björn gave it a good chance from the woods, able to make it on the comebacker, securing his par. No damage done. So we'll see these two guys both tapping in their birdies. And so far going stroke for stroke on the first 4 holes. Silver and Rayners. We see here hole 5, an 82-meter par 3. Really just about hitting this gap, this double Mando here, forcing players to play through and then end with a straight to leftwards finish. You'll see this basket tucked slightly further back. A lot of players are just going to be punching something slightly overstable on a hyzer through, but it's certainly possible to fade out early. It's really more of a straight shot with a soft finish than a pure overstable shot, but really the priority is hitting the gap, moving left. And Rayners does just that. Will find himself look to be just outside the circle. The forehand is more common than you may think here. And he does hit the gap, but he does not like the kick. I think really leaning on the understability, that's a tough line there to craft, having to use all the width available. Roland, unfortunately, with the early release, will be missing that double Mando. Björn clean through it, and you see him flip slightly up to flat, but still finding one of the many trees along the way. Certainly requires a very precise line. Does not offer you much if you miss by no more than a meter on either side. Silver has shown he's strong on the forehand scramble and does give himself a look there. He's done it again. Might not be as short of a putt as the last one, but still doing well to give himself opportunities from tough positions. Roland with an enormous putt. As you see, the difficult lies that they're left with. And the birdie not found here. Hole 5 actually averaging 3.64 as a par 3 here in this final round. And a nasty slide out there for Rayners. That's a tough one. Looked to be low and driven, but just a little bit to that weak side. Does not stick. But you see a smile on his face there, great attitude. Here you see hole 6, a 91-meter downhill par 3. Players will need to control their nose angle and likely a soft turnover backhand for most of them, shaping most naturally to the flex or just the pure straight line. You see this elevated basket perched atop the red spire. A very gettable birdie, but once again, you see that the gaps here are really tight and precision is very well rewarded here. Reyners so far has been hitting his lines. We see him shaping that flex out of the hand, looking to find the late fade. Has it a little bit too high. You see him not get the nose down enough, and unfortunately find some late branches will leave him with a longer putt than he would like. We see a much better height here. And gets the slide up towards the end, that late push. Well done by Björn. Silver missing the early gap. You see the frustration there, and kicking to that right side will leave him in a really tough position. Roland, fantastic control there, ensuring the nose down, but in fact hits the floor a little bit too hard, loses some of his speed, and does not get too far on the ground play. We see Silver continuing to scramble, and once again he's done enough to have a look, although really a tough one at that, particularly on the elevated basket. Reyners, a bit of a half bid there. Had the height to flash chains, but not really pushing that one with too much pace. But Silver continues to scramble. Finds the putt. Has one of the worst kicks you could possibly get off the tee. Scrambles and then makes this. Check this out one more time. From the straddle, steps it through, gives it the height and the hyzer, and it's just pure the whole way. Fantastic stuff by Silver Koni. Roland as well, good for it. Really roller coaster round for him here with only one par on hole 1. You can see continuing to persevere. Currently tied with Björn, however this putt gives him that birdie and puts him to 3 under now. Reyners for his par. Here we are, hole 7, a par 5 at 198 meters. This requires you to craft a series of precise lines through the woods, through various tunnels, and control your disc at every step of the way. You see this first straight to leftwards uphill shot winding back in a tight hairpin turn. Players then break out into this late green with these large guardian trees. They'll have this final straight shot, slightly sloped right to left green, snaking their way through the woods. This first shot is looking to be either a soft flex or a hyzer flip. We see, unfortunately for their Björn, a little bit too aggressive from the anhyzer out of the hand. You really want something that gets up there and flips, or using a little bit more width like Roland there. Does a great job, puts himself as far back as he can to open up the gap of the second shot, but even that might potentially be pinched. You really want to push through the gap and then leftwards. The height that Reyners throws this with, really beautiful, and he in fact almost overshoots it. That is exactly the shot that you want to shape here off the tee. Silver with a chance to do the same, and he pushes himself out to the right. That is the safe play. You see from the left just how little remains for Björn, as he's now throwing his third. And he's shaping that nicely into the second tunnel. Although par is pretty much out of play from there. We'll see what he can find. You see, if you don't push far enough off the tee, Silver there also having to straddle out wide, try to enter the tunnel. Reyners actually quite solid in the center with an open look. Reyners as well, but both of them with those awkward stances near the trees, and I think he still has a play for the birdie. He'll be left with a lot from there, but these guys really playing that forehand to just open up the second shot as wide as possible. Oh, and he tried to lay that up, and I think he gave himself really poor footing as you see him in the bushes here. Silver overshooting a bit, getting creative to try and open a position up for himself, but we see he's having to spike very aggressively in, and there you go. He's done just that. Great use of the pitch out there to take the wide angle. Björn, beautiful upshot, flashing chains, gives it a soft run. You see no more than 3 or 4 behind the basket. Those low branches do come into play, however. Reyners gets this quite high up, spikes into the hillside, pin high. Really nice throw, and well played by Reyners here to be putting for birdie from that range. And a solid scramble there from the early left side of the second tunnel. We see Roland's putt now. What a laser. Great confidence considering the putting on holes 2 and 3. On 6 and 7, he's really dialed it in. It's coming out clean and fast. It's accurate. He's making these longer ranges. Looking really smooth. That's the Roland we know. Some solid cleanup here. Hole 7 playing as a 5.29, just over par. And a great birdie for our leaders. He continues to separate himself now 8 strokes above second place going into hole 8. Great position. Here you see hole 8, par 4, 197 meters. This first shot is going to require players to go straight and then to the right, shaping nicely for a big forehand hyzer or a late turning backhand. You see then this connecting tunnel winding through in an S shape into this late gap as well. The green tucked away over this crest behind the logs and trees. I think the tee shot is quite a determining factor of whether or not the birdie is possible here on this hole. There's only so much you can do on the second shot, given the angle. Roland is going to be looking to get himself up and straight, and no fade on that. Look at the control as well. Center fairway. Really well thrown backhand. The more traditional line, if you're comfortable with it, shown here by Reyners, a high power hyzer. And look at that, the distance that he finds around the corner, clear of OB the entire way. Silver looking to match that line. But coming up a little bit short. You saw both of them use a lot of height, but it is a long forehand to go pure hyzer. And Björn hates it for the same reason. He knows he's sawed this off early. Does not get it to flip. They'll be really pinched with the OB on the right. Reyners in an ideal position. Roland in a good position. Silver and Björn. Solid attempt there. Björn now looking to make as much progress as he can. And he's done just that. Very solid. Should give him a look to the green. Roland looking to play that wide hyzer. Unclear if he found the fade he was looking for. Reyners playing for the birdie in prime position off the tee and in prime position off the upshot. Right up on those logs. Reyners playing this hole pretty much to perfection with those 2 shots. see, even from a decent position, this green fairly well guarded, given all the obstacles. There are the low gaps as well as the spike hyzer possibilities if you're further back. And Roland going to give himself another one of these long putts, this one downhill as well. If he does not find it, it could get away from him, but of course he does. And honestly, an impressive bogey save. Boom, you see that perfect angle on the height and pace. Those downhill bombs feel great to make. And Rayner's left with just 6 or so meters for his birdie, really bringing it together. The only person on this lead card currently bogey free. See here the beautiful fairway of hole 9, a 115 meter par 3 with trees lining the right, OB to the left the entire way, playing uphill. These players are really going to want to shape a shot similar to hole 1 in both power and distance, looking slightly up, but they will have this additional late gap that they're hoping to hit. After you break through this narrow, you see the green widen after the pinch in the middle. Players can really choose to lay up and try to putt through or go for the green, try to drill one into the hill. Rayner's playing the power hyzer up and over and just beautifully done. Really punches that one up there. Fantastic control on the speed and distance. Roland opting to try and do the same to the right side. And he also gets through cleanly up into the green. We couldn't see a great view of the full flight, but certainly playing with a little bit of understability. Looked like a hyzer flip. We see Björn also playing that line, however, quite low from the hand, and I think he knew it. We'll see if Silver can find himself a birdie look. I think the intended line from the designer being thrown here is that soft flex fading through the gap at the end. And you see him get caught up. Björn with a long look. You see he has great ability to generate spin on his putts. Silver as well with a soft bit at it. You have Roland for the birdie. And he cashes out left. That will be his first par in 7 holes, 8 including this one. As Rayner storms ahead, stone cold, finding 7, 8, and 9, now 3 birdies in a row. Really setting PDGA Euro Tour pace here. Our leader at 13 under with 9 holes remaining. As we see the full standings, no one able to match that 5 under front 9. You see Roland in second place, now 11 strokes behind. The battle for second and third still very close, with Silver 7 strokes behind Björn, currently in third place. This will really now be a final battle for those podium spots. We appreciate you joining us here for this exciting conclusion to a fun tournament from the end of 2023. Make sure to catch the back 9 and see who will be crowned your next PDGA Euro Tour champion.